Listen carefully, my friend. Most men completely destroy attraction before it even begins, not because they say the wrong thing, but because they approach intimacy the wrong way from the start. Here's the uncomfortable truth most men never hear. When a man tries to politely ask a woman for intimacy, he often kills the very tension that creates it. He becomes cautious, overly careful, almost like he's asking permission to exist in her space. And the moment that happens, the dynamic shifts. The mystery disappears. The energy collapses. Now, let's be honest for a second, folks. Many men believe that the safest path is to explain themselves, to be extra respectful, to wait for perfect clarity before making any move. They think this makes them more attractive. But in reality, that careful energy often signals hesitation, uncertainty, even insecurity, and women feel that instantly. The truth is, attraction rarely begins with perfect words. It begins with presence, with calm confidence, with a kind of quiet leadership that doesn't beg for approval, but naturally creates emotional tension. In this video, I'm going to show you the psychological shift that changes everything. You'll understand why asking directly often backfires, why calm masculine energy triggers attraction, and how subtle behaviors like eye contact, silence, and emotional control can awaken desire without forcing anything. Once you understand this dynamic, the entire interaction changes. You stop chasing moments and instead you create them. And trust me, what you're about to learn may completely change how you approach women. Let's get into it. Number 1. Weak energy kills desire. Let's start with a truth many men don't want to hear, folks. Attraction rarely dies because a man is too direct. Most of the time it dies because his energy is weak. Not aggressive, not creepy, just weak. And weak energy is something women feel almost immediately. Let's be honest for a moment, my friend. Many men believe that if they are careful, polite, and overly respectful, things will naturally move toward intimacy. They think hesitation makes them look thoughtful. They think asking permission for every emotional step makes them look safe. But attraction does not respond to hesitation. It responds to certainty. When a man approaches a woman while constantly second-guessing himself, the entire interaction changes. His voice becomes slightly unsure. His body language tightens. His words start searching for approval instead of expressing intent. And the moment that happens, the emotional tension disappears. Women don't usually explain this directly, but they feel it. Let me give you a real example. Robert is 63 and recently started dating again after a long marriage. At a small dinner gathering in Austin, he meets a woman named Claire, 56. They begin talking, and at first the conversation flows naturally. Claire laughs at his stories. She leans in while he speaks. There is clearly some interest in the air. But Robert begins to overthink the moment. Instead of simply enjoying the conversation, he starts asking careful questions to make sure he doesn't appear too forward. He apologizes when he interrupts slightly. He repeatedly checks if she is comfortable with every topic. Little by little, his energy shifts. Claire notices it immediately. The man who first seemed confident now feels uncertain. The emotional rhythm between them slows down. Her body language becomes more neutral. She begins responding politely instead of playfully. Nothing dramatic happened, but the tension disappeared. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The Stoics understood something powerful about human nature. Strength is not announced through words. It is revealed through presence. A grounded man does not constantly seek approval in every interaction. He simply shows up as himself. Weak energy, on the other hand, constantly asks for validation. You can hear it in phrases like these. "Is that okay with you? I hope that didn't sound weird. Sorry if I'm being awkward." Every time a man sends those signals, the frame of the interaction shifts. Instead of leading the moment, he is asking permission to stay in it. And attraction begins to fade. Now here's another example. David is 61 and meeting a woman named Laura, 54, for coffee in Seattle. Instead of filling every silence with nervous talking, David stays relaxed. When Laura pauses after telling a story, he simply smiles and holds eye contact. There is no rush, no apology, just calm presence. Laura notices it. The conversation begins to feel more charged. She leans slightly closer across the table. Her tone becomes softer. What started as a casual meeting begins to carry a different emotional weight. That difference comes from energy. Epictetus believed that a man's power begins with control over himself. When a man is comfortable in his own presence, others feel that stability immediately, and women are especially sensitive to it. They don't just hear your words, they read your hesitation, they feel your certainty, they sense your emotional stability long before intimacy is ever mentioned. Weak energy kills desire because it removes tension from the interaction. Confidence, on the other hand, allows tension to exist naturally. If this insight resonates with you, type this in the comments: I hold my frame. Stay with me because the next shift may surprise you. The real mistake most men make is asking for intimacy in the first place. And what you're about to learn will completely change that dynamic. Number 2. Stop asking for intimacy. Now here is where many men make the biggest mistake, folks. They believe intimacy begins with a question. They think the respectful thing to do is ask, "Can I kiss you? Would it be okay if I came closer? Do you want to go somewhere more private?" Now, on the surface, this sounds polite. It sounds careful. It sounds like the kind of behavior a decent man should show. But let's be honest for a moment, my friend. In most situations, asking directly does something very specific to the emotional. It grows from emotional momentum, from subtle signals, from the slow build of curiosity and anticipation. The moment a man turns that moment into a formal request, the entire atmosphere shifts from feeling to decision. And desire does not thrive inside a committee meeting. The Stoics understood something about human behavior that applies perfectly here. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, a grounded person does not constantly ask others to validate every step he takes. He acts in alignment with his character and reads the response that follows. That principle matters in attraction. When a man asks for intimacy as if he is submitting a request, the message behind the question often sounds like this: "Please approve of me. Please confirm that I'm allowed to move forward. Please make the decision for both of us." That energy quietly transfers the leadership of the moment to the other person. And the strange thing is, many women do not want to carry that responsibility. Attraction often grows when a man calmly leads the emotional direction of the interaction while still remaining aware of the other person's comfort and signals. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Confine yourself to the present." When two people share a moment of growing attraction, the present moment contains all the information needed: the eye contact, the distance between bodies, the way the conversation slows, the pauses that begin to stretch slightly longer. These signals communicate far more clearly than a direct question ever could. Think about it this way. When two people are sitting together and the energy between them becomes quieter, when both people hold eye contact for a second longer than usual, something is happening beneath the surface. A question interrupts that current, but calm presence allows it to grow. Seneca often wrote about the power of restraint. Not restraint as fear, but restraint as control. A man who does not rush to fill every moment with words shows that he is comfortable inside the silence, and silence often creates the strongest tension of all. Instead of asking for intimacy, the more powerful approach is simply allowing the moment to unfold naturally. Maintaining steady eye contact, slowing your breathing, speaking less instead of more. In that space, attraction either grows or it does not, and the answer becomes clear without anyone needing to submit a request. This is not about ignoring boundaries or forcing situations. It is about understanding that attraction speaks through subtle signals long before it ever becomes verbal. A grounded man reads those signals instead of trying to negotiate them. When you stop asking for intimacy and instead focus on presence, something interesting begins to happen. The interaction becomes lighter, the conversation flows more naturally, and sometimes the other person begins leaning closer first. If this insight resonates with you, type this in the comments, I don't beg. Stay with me because the next shift changes how you understand attraction itself. Desire does not grow from logic the way many men think it does. And once you understand that, the entire interaction begins to make more sense. Number 3. Desire is felt, not explained. Now here is something many men misunderstand about attraction, folks. They think desire grows from explanation. They believe that if they say the right things, explain their intentions clearly, and communicate perfectly, intimacy will naturally follow. But let's be real for a moment, my friend. Desire rarely responds to explanations. It responds to feelings. Attraction is emotional before it is logical. It lives in tone, presence, eye contact, rhythm, not in carefully constructed sentences. And when a man starts explaining his attraction too much, something strange happens. The tension disappears. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Thomas is 62 and meets a woman named Rachel, 55, at a small art gallery event in Chicago. They begin talking about the paintings on the wall, and within minutes the conversation becomes playful. Rachel laughs easily. She holds eye contact a little longer than usual. She occasionally touches Thomas's arm while making a point. There is clearly some chemistry building between them, but Thomas becomes nervous about how the moment might be interpreted. Instead of letting the interaction unfold naturally, he starts explaining his intentions. He says things like, "I just want you to know I respect you, and I'm not trying to rush anything." He continues talking, trying to clarify exactly what he means and how he feels. Rachel listens politely, but something shifts. The emotional current that was building between them starts to flatten. The interaction suddenly feels more like a conversation about feelings rather than an experience of them. The tension dissolves. Nothing offensive happened. Nothing inappropriate happened. But the attraction faded because the emotional moment was replaced with explanation. Now compare that with another situation. Daniel is 64, having dinner with a woman named Melissa, 58, in Santa Barbara. During the conversation, a pause appears between them after Melissa finishes telling a story. Instead of rushing to fill the silence, Daniel simply holds eye contact and smiles slightly. No explanation, no long speech, just presence. Melissa notices the pause. She smiles back and leans a little closer across the table. The moment becomes quieter but more charged. That is the difference between explaining desire and allowing desire to be felt. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." In human interaction, emotions often spread through atmosphere rather than through words. If a man is calm, grounded, and comfortable with attraction, that feeling becomes contagious. But if he starts analyzing the moment out loud, the emotional current breaks. Women do not usually respond to attraction as a logical argument. They respond to emotional signals, the pace of the conversation, the steadiness of the gaze, the pauses that appear naturally when two people are aware of each other. Those are the things that build tension. Seneca wrote that wise people understand the power of restraint. They do not rush to explain every feeling because they understand that some experiences lose their strength the moment they are over-analyzed. Attraction is one of those experiences. When you stop trying to explain desire and instead allow it to exist quietly between two people, something powerful begins to happen. The interaction becomes less predictable, more mysterious, and far more magnetic. If this insight resonates with you, type this in the comments, I trust the feeling. Stick with me because the next shift goes even deeper. The strongest sexual energy is rarely spoken about directly, and understanding that will completely change how you approach these moments. Number 4. Sexual energy before words. Now we arrive at something many men completely overlook, folks. Sexual energy almost always appears before any words about intimacy are spoken. In fact, the strongest attraction rarely begins with talking at all. Let's be honest for a moment, my friend. Many men believe intimacy starts when the conversation becomes explicit. They think attraction grows once the topic shifts toward romance, flirting, or physical closeness. But that's not how it usually works. By the time those words appear, the emotional current has already been building for several minutes, or even longer. Sexual energy is not a sentence. It is a feeling. It lives in the quiet spaces between words. In the way two people hold eye contact slightly longer than normal. In the way the conversation slows down and becomes more focused. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What he meant was that inner states quietly influence the atmosphere around us. When a person carries calm confidence, others begin to feel that emotional tone even before a single word explains it. That principle applies directly to attraction. When a man is comfortable with his own desire, his behavior naturally reflects it. His movements slow down, his attention becomes more focused. He does not rush to fill every moment with conversation. Instead, he allows pauses to exist. Those pauses are often where attraction begins to grow. Many men make the mistake of trying to talk their way into intimacy. They believe the right line, the right compliment, or the right joke will suddenly create chemistry. But chemistry is not created by clever dialogue. It is created by emotional tension. Epictetus taught that true power begins with control over oneself. A man who is grounded in his own presence does not feel the need to constantly prove his intentions through words. He simply allows his energy to remain steady. And that steadiness creates curiosity. Think about how music works for a moment. A powerful song is not made only of notes. The pauses between the notes create rhythm, emotion, and anticipation. Human interaction works the same way. When two people are talking and the conversation naturally slows down, something interesting happens. Eye contact lasts a second longer. Both people become more aware of each other's presence. That moment often carries more emotional charge than any line a man could say. Seneca once wrote that wisdom often lies in restraint. Not restraint born from fear, but restraint born from understanding. When a man understands that attraction grows through tension, he becomes less desperate to control the moment with words. He becomes comfortable, allowing the moment to breathe. And when that happens, something powerful begins to form. The interaction stops feeling like a conversation and starts feeling like a connection. Now, before we move forward, folks, if you enjoy exploring these deeper principles of masculine presence, Stoic mindset, and human psychology, consider joining the membership of this channel. Inside the membership, we go much deeper into these topics and break down the behaviors that create real attraction and emotional strength in everyday life. If this idea resonates with you, type this in the comments. I feel the energy. Stay with me, because the next insight reveals something many women quietly respond to but rarely talk about. A calm man often triggers attraction far more strongly than a man who constantly tries to impress. Number 5. Calm men trigger attraction. Now here is something that surprises many men, folks. The men who trigger the strongest attraction are rarely the loudest, the flashiest, or the most aggressive. More often they are the calmest men in the room. Let's be real for a moment, my friend. Many men believe attraction comes from impressing a woman. They try to be funny, charming, entertaining, or overly energetic. They talk faster. They tell bigger stories. They try to fill every silence with more personality. But that energy can sometimes feel unstable, and women notice that immediately. Calm energy feels very different. A calm man does not rush his words. He does not constantly try to prove himself. He listens fully, speaks clearly, and moves at his own pace. That kind of presence creates something powerful. It creates emotional gravity. Let me give you a simple example. Mark is 63 and attending a small dinner gathering in San Diego. Several guests are talking loudly around the table, telling stories and competing for attention. One man keeps interrupting people to add bigger jokes. Another keeps bragging about his recent business success. In the middle of that conversation, Mark remains relaxed. When he speaks, he waits until the room naturally quiets. His voice is steady and unhurried. When someone else talks, he listens without trying to jump in immediately. Across the table sits a woman named Elena, 57. At first, Elena laughs at the louder men telling jokes. But as the evening continues, her attention begins shifting toward Mark. Not because he is louder, because he is calmer. When Mark speaks, she leans slightly closer to hear him. When he pauses, she maintains eye contact. The conversation between them starts to feel slower, more focused, almost like the rest of the room fades into the background. That shift happens because calmness signals something very important: control. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." A man who embodies this idea naturally moves through social situations without appearing desperate for attention. He does not rush to impress anyone, and that emotional stability becomes attractive. Now consider another situation. Andrew is 61, meeting a woman named Lisa, 54, at a quiet coffee shop in Portland. As they talk, Andrew does something many men struggle to do. He allows silence. When Lisa finishes a story, Andrew smiles and pauses before responding. He doesn't immediately jump in with another topic. Instead, he stays present in the moment. Lisa notices that calm rhythm. The conversation begins to slow down in a comfortable way. She starts asking Andrew more personal questions. The connection begins to deepen because the interaction feels relaxed rather than rushed. That is the hidden strength of calm men. Seneca once wrote that true strength is revealed through composure. A person who is easily shaken by attention or silence often appears uncertain, but a man who remains steady communicates confidence without saying a word. Women feel that difference quickly. Calm energy suggests emotional stability. It suggests self-control. It suggests a man who is comfortable with himself and not dependent on constant validation from the room. And that kind of presence naturally creates curiosity. If this idea resonates with you, type this in the comments: "I stay calm." Stick with me because the next shift may completely change the way you think about intimacy. Sometimes the strongest move a man can make is stepping back and allowing her to lean in first. Number 6. Make her lean in first. Now here is a principle many men completely overlook, folks. Sometimes the strongest move a man can make is not pushing forward, it is stepping back. Let's be honest for a moment, my friend. Many men believe attraction grows when they keep moving closer. They try to escalate quickly. They increase compliments. They push the conversation toward intimacy. They think progress comes from constant forward motion. But attraction often grows through space. When a man slows down and stops forcing the moment, something interesting happens. Curiosity begins to appear on the other side of the interaction. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." What he meant was that real strength comes from self-control, not constant action. In attraction, this idea becomes very powerful. A man who is calm enough to pause communicates something important. He shows that he is not desperate for the outcome. He is comfortable, allowing the interaction to unfold naturally. That emotional steadiness creates tension. Think about how many men behave when they feel attraction. They rush to fill every silence. They push the conversation forward. They try to maintain constant momentum, so the interaction never slows down. But that behavior often removes the mystery. When there is no pause, there is no space for curiosity to grow. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Confine yourself to the present moment." When two people share a moment of attraction, the present moment already contains the signals that matter. The eye contact, the body language, the subtle changes in tone. When a man becomes comfortable observing these signals, Instead of forcing the next step, the interaction begins to feel very different. The pace slows, the attention becomes sharper, and the other person becomes more aware of the emotional space between you. That space is where curiosity begins. Many women respond strongly when they feel they are moving toward a man rather than being pulled by him. It creates a sense of discovery rather than pressure. The moment becomes something they participate in instead of something happening to them. Seneca once wrote that wise people understand the value of patience. They do not rush events that are already unfolding. The same idea applies here. When attraction exists, it naturally creates movement between two people. One person speaks, the other responds. One person smiles, the other notices. Small signals build slowly into a shared emotional rhythm. But when a man constantly pushes forward, he interrupts that rhythm. By allowing moments of calm silence and steady eye contact, he gives the interaction room to breathe. And when that space exists, something powerful often happens. The other person begins leaning forward, not physically at first, but emotionally. They ask more questions. They hold eye contact longer. They move slightly closer during the conversation. These signals appear because curiosity has been activated. The moment a man who understands this dynamic becomes far more attractive because he does not appear to be chasing the moment. He creates the space where the moment can grow. If this insight resonates with you, type this in the comments. I create space. Stay tuned because the next principle reveals one of the most powerful tools a man can use without saying a single clever line. Eye contact alone can create a level of tension that words rarely achieve. Number 7. Eye contact that builds tension. Now let's talk about one of the most powerful signals a man can use without saying a single word, folks. Eye contact. Most men underestimate how much attraction lives inside a simple look. Let's be real for a moment, my friend. Many men believe attraction comes from clever lines, funny stories, or perfectly timed compliments. They think the right sentence will suddenly change the atmosphere between them and a woman. But in many cases, the strongest moments of attraction happen when nobody is talking at all. They happen when two people simply look at each other. Eye contact creates awareness. It tells the other person that you are fully present in the moment. When that eye contact lasts just a little longer than normal, something interesting begins to form, a kind of quiet tension. Let me show you what this looks like in a real situation. Richard is 65, attending a small charity fundraiser in Denver. People are moving through the room with drinks in their hands, talking in small groups and greeting friends. At one point, Richard begins speaking with a woman named Andrea, 58. Their conversation starts casually. They talk about the event, the music, and the city. Then, Andrea finishes telling a story about her recent trip. Instead of immediately jumping into another topic, Richard pauses. He holds eye contact with her for a moment while smiling slightly. Just a few seconds, but the moment changes. Andrea notices the pause. She maintains the eye contact instead of looking away. The room around them continues moving, but the interaction between them suddenly feels quieter, more focused. Andrea leans a little closer as she continues the conversation. Her voice softens slightly. The energy between them begins to feel more personal. That small moment of eye contact created tension without a single word about attraction. Now consider another situation. Stephen is 62, meeting a woman named Carla, 56, at a quiet wine bar in Napa Valley. During their conversation, Carla jokes about how difficult modern dating can be. Stephen laughs and then looks at her calmly for a moment before responding. Not an aggressive stare, just steady attention. Carla smiles and briefly glances down before looking back at him. The rhythm of the conversation shifts. There is now a subtle awareness between them that did not exist earlier. That is the power of eye contact. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." In social interaction, presence reflects the quality of your attention. When a man gives someone his full attention, it communicates confidence and stability. It shows he is not distracted. It shows he is not rushing. And that steadiness becomes magnetic. Many men avoid strong eye contact because they fear it might feel awkward. They break the gaze quickly or look away while speaking. But a grounded man does not rush to escape that moment. He allows the eye contact to exist naturally. Seneca believed that composure reveals inner strength. A man who remains calm under attention communicates emotional control. That control becomes especially powerful in moments of silence. Eye contact, when combined with calm presence, creates a quiet signal that something deeper is happening in the interaction. It builds tension without pressure. If this insight resonates with you, type this in the comments: I hold the gaze. Don't go anywhere, because the next principle reveals something even more powerful. Silence itself can become one of the strongest tools for creating attraction. Number 8. Silence that drives her crazy. Now let's talk about something that most men are deeply uncomfortable with, folks. Silence. Many men fear silence during an interaction with a woman. The moment the conversation pauses, they rush to fill the space. They ask another question. They tell another story. They make another joke. Anything to avoid that quiet moment. But here is the truth. Most men never realize, my friend. Silence can be one of the most powerful forces in attraction. Not awkward silence, intentional silence. Let's be honest for a moment. When two people feel a spark of attraction, something subtle begins to happen. The conversation slows slightly. Eye contact lasts longer. The rhythm between both people becomes more focused. And in those moments, silence often appears. Many men panic when that happens. They think the pause means something is wrong. They assume the interaction is losing momentum, so they quickly start talking again to fix the moment. But by doing that, they destroy the tension that was just beginning to build. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength." Calmness allows a person to remain comfortable even when nothing is being said. And that calm presence communicates confidence. When a man can sit in silence without appearing nervous, it sends a powerful signal. It shows he is not afraid of the moment. He is not scrambling for approval. He is comfortable allowing the interaction to breathe. And that emotional steadiness can be incredibly magnetic. Think about how music works. The emotional power of a song is not only in the notes themselves, it is also in the pauses between them. Those brief moments of quiet create anticipation. Human interaction works in a similar way. When a conversation pauses and both people hold eye contact, the mind naturally begins to fill the silence with curiosity. What is he thinking? Why is he looking at me like that? What happens next? Those questions create emotional tension. Seneca wrote that wise people understand the power of restraint. They know that constantly reacting to every moment often weakens their position. Sometimes the strongest move is simply remaining still. Silence is a form of restraint. A grounded man does not rush to escape it. He allows it to exist for a moment. And when that silence is paired with calm eye contact and relaxed body language, something interesting happens. The interaction becomes more intimate, not because of anything that was said, but because of what was felt. The quiet moment becomes charged with awareness between two people. Many women respond strongly to this kind of presence because it feels rare. In a world where everyone is constantly talking, someone who can remain calm and composed during silence stands out immediately. It signals emotional control, it signals confidence, and it often creates a deeper connection than endless conversation ever could. If this insight resonates with you, type this in the comments: I stay composed. Stay with me, because the next principle reveals another critical shift. Attraction grows strongest when a man shows clear intent without showing need, and understanding that difference changes everything. Number 9. Show desire, not need. Now here is a distinction that completely changes how attraction works, folks. Desire and need are not the same thing, but many men accidentally mix the two together. Let's be real for a moment, my friend. Women are not turned off by a man's desire. In fact, desire is often what creates the spark in the first place. A man who clearly appreciates a woman who enjoys her presence, who allows attraction to exist naturally between them, can be very compelling. The problem appears when desire turns into need. Need feels different. Need sounds like pressure. It sounds like someone who requires a certain reaction in order to feel okay. And the moment that emotional dependency appears, the dynamic changes. Let me give you a simple example. Michael is 64 and meets a woman named Denise, 58, at a small outdoor concert in Phoenix. As they talk, Michael makes it clear that he enjoys the conversation. He smiles when she jokes, listens closely when she speaks, and tells her directly that he likes her perspective. But Michael remains relaxed. He is not trying to convince Denise to like him. He is simply expressing genuine interest while staying comfortable with himself. Denise feels that immediately. She laughs easily. She begins asking Michael questions about his life. The interaction becomes balanced, with both people contributing to the energy. Now, imagine the same situation with a different tone. Another man might approach Denise and quickly start seeking reassurance. He asks whether she likes the conversation. He repeatedly compliments her in a way that feels almost like a request for approval. Do you think I'm interesting? Do you want to see me again? Are you having a good time? Little by little, the interaction begins to feel heavier. Denise might still respond politely, but the emotional tension disappears. Instead of feeling attraction, she feels responsibility for managing the other person's emotions. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." This Stoic idea becomes extremely important in relationships. A grounded man does not depend on another person's reaction to maintain his emotional balance. He can express desire without needing the outcome to validate him, and that emotional independence becomes attractive. Now consider another moment. Daniel is 62, having dinner with a woman named Patricia, 55, in Boston. During the conversation, Daniel tells Patricia that he enjoys her company. His tone is calm and sincere. Then, he simply continues the conversation without waiting nervously for a reaction. That small difference matters. Patricia notices that Daniel is not chasing approval. He is sharing interest without pressure. The interaction begins to feel lighter, more natural, almost playful. Seneca once wrote that wise people do not attach their peace of mind to outcomes they cannot control. In attraction, that principle creates confidence. When a man shows desire but does not cling to the result, he communicates strength. Desire says, "I enjoy this moment with you." Need says, "I need you to make this moment meaningful for me." One creates curiosity, the other creates pressure. If this insight resonates with you, type this in the comments: "I show desire." Stay with me, because the final principle brings everything together. The most attractive men do something many others are afraid to do. They own their desire without apology. Number 10. Own your desire without apology. Let's close this with a principle that ties everything together, folks. A grounded man does not hide his desire, and he does not apologize for it either. Now let's be honest for a moment, my friend. Many men today feel confused about how to express attraction. They worry that showing interest will make them look pushy, or that admitting desire might somehow be inappropriate, so they try to hide it. They become overly neutral. They pretend they are not interested. They speak carefully, almost as if attraction itself is something that must be disguised. But something important happens when a man hides his desire. The interaction loses its honesty. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "Never value anything as profitable to you, which shall compel you to break your promise to lose your self-respect." In simpler terms, the Stoics believed that a man should remain aligned with his true nature. Desire, when it appears naturally, is part of that nature. The problem is not desire itself. The problem is insecurity around desire. A man who owns his desire calmly communicates something powerful. He is not ashamed of what he feels, but he also does not force it on anyone. He expresses attraction without making it a demand. That balance is where real confidence lives. Let me show you what this looks like in real life. Anthony is 63 and attending a small book reading event in New York. After the discussion ends, he begins speaking with a woman named Julia, 57. They talked about the author, their favorite novels and travel. At one point, Anthony looks at Julia and says something simple. "I like talking with you. You have an interesting way of seeing things." He says it calmly and then continues the conversation. No dramatic tone, no nervous explanation, just honesty. Julia smiles when he says it. The conversation continues naturally, but something shifts. The atmosphere becomes warmer because Anthony allowed his interest to exist openly without turning it into pressure. Now imagine the opposite situation. A man feels attraction but constantly tries to hide it. He avoids eye contact whenever the moment becomes personal. He jokes to deflect any tension. He pretends the interaction is purely casual, even when the energy suggests something deeper. That behavior creates confusion. Instead of clarity, the interaction feels uncertain. Seneca wrote that clarity of character creates peace of mind. A person who knows what he feels does not need to constantly disguise it, and that clarity can be very attractive. Women are often less concerned with whether a man feels desire than with how he handles that desire. If it appears desperate or needy, it creates pressure. But when it appears calm and unapologetic, it signals confidence. A man who owns his desire does not rush. He does not demand anything. He simply allows the truth of the moment to exist. And that authenticity often becomes the most compelling quality of all. When you combine everything we discussed in this video, a clear pattern appears. Calm presence, emotional control, patience, eye contact, silence, and honest desire all work together, not to force attraction, but to create the conditions where attraction can grow naturally. And a man who understands this dynamic moves through interactions very differently from the average man. He is not chasing approval. He is simply showing up as himself. All right, folks, let's wrap this up. In this video, we explored a powerful shift that many men never learn. Attraction is rarely created by asking the perfect question or saying the perfect line. It grows through presence, calm, confidence, emotional control, and the subtle tension that appears when a man is comfortable with himself. When you stop chasing approval and start leading the moment with quiet certainty, the entire dynamic changes. If you want to go deeper into Stoic mindset, masculine presence, and the psychology behind attraction, consider joining the membership of this channel. Inside the membership, we break down these ideas in much more detail so you can apply them in real life. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next one. Thank you for being here, my friend. I'll see you tomorrow.